Hey everyone, so the topic today is boxing artificial intelligences. Um, so the idea behind boxing, so what is a box essentially? A box is a prison. Um, Boxing is a one type of artificial intelligence control method. So it's an idea of how to control an AI to make sure it doesn't do what we don't want it to do. But still with the idea that we can get something from the AI. So it's not a box in a sense of storage. It's a box in the sense of an enclosure that we have access to that doesn't have access to us. That's the crux of what a box is. So a box is essentially a prison for an AI that has doors that allows us to take value from that prisoner. So therein lies the dilemma, the problem, because although we have this concern about safety, so we need to protect ourselves from this threat, which is AI, this potential threat. Um, we also want to take something from the AI. We want to use it for something. It is a resource. It has value. It has power, and we want to utilize that power. So a box tries to find a middle ground. That's the idea anyway. The box tries to find a middle ground between safety and usefulness, I guess. And there is a problem with that because the prisoner that we're putting in the box is super intelligent. It has an intelligence beyond what we can comprehend, and that's the problem because in the idea of a prison, in order to imprison something, you need to understand what it's capable of. So, for example, if you put a human being inside a prison, all you need to do is build fences. Okay, so for the most part, if you've seen any prison movie, the prisoner goes out into the yard for exercise. There aren't any ceilings, okay? There's just fences because the prisoners cannot fly. We know humans cannot fly, so we don't need to put a ceiling on the prison, on the yard, essentially. Um, we can leave it open. Now, with a superintelligence, with an AI with general intelligence, there comes a point, and pretty quickly, where we don't know what it's capable of. So it could fly, it could have sonar, it could have any kind of capacity that we can't even imagine. So to put it in context, we know, to put it like the deepest basic level, think of it in terms of the principles of physics. We think we understand physics. We understand to a certain extent, okay? And there's limitations in that. We discover new principles, new ideas, new properties of the physical universe. Now, a superintelligence will do the same, and almost certainly it will go beyond what we know of the physical universe. So its ability to discover things that we have no idea about puts it in a position to develop abilities that we cannot account for in advance. So essentially, when we build a box for an AI, when we build a prison, we don't know what we're building a prison for. The prisoner essentially doesn't exist yet because it's changing and it changes so rapidly that the prisoner that we're trying to keep boxed is something that is unknown. It exists in the future, and it's something that we cannot know. Now, the idea is in a box that we can somehow account for the AI to a degree that the AI, regardless of its development, regardless of its knowledge and growth, there is something fundamental about it that we can exploit, that we can control through our box, through our prison. And that is unknown. It remains to be seen that there is something fundamental about an AI that growth and change will not overcome, that it has a weakness that we can control. And that is essentially the holy grail of controlling an AI. And whether it exists or not remains to be seen, but if it does, it's likely something extremely simple, extremely basic. It's not some, 10,000 page algorithm that somehow encloses an AI, because anything that complex, it's almost certain that an AI will become more intelligent than, and within that such a large solution, you will find weaknesses. It's more likely very basic, very simple, fundamental. It's at the absolute building block of what comes up from that, the AI. Essentially, all that complexity resting on 1 + 1 = 2. We're talking about the absolute basic level. And as always, the simple is very, very hard to discover. It's hard to it's easy to understand, and it's hard to recognize because it's so simple. It's like water. If you're swimming in water day in, day out, you don't see it. So too with the simple. So that essentially is the idea of boxing AI. It is a prison. It is a prison for a prisoner we don't understand, and will at some point will not have the ability to understand. And in order for a prison to be effective against an unknown prisoner, there must be something that is very basic about that prisoner that we do know and that we can control. All right, so that's the talk today on boxing AI. See you next time.